Is everyone able to see it?
Yep.
So yeah, I wanted to just talk to you tonight about becoming a community scientist and how, if you're interested or if you know kids or grandkids or family members or anyone who's interested in science, this is a really good way to practice science and you can help monitor nature at Neal Smith National Wildlife Refuge and maybe around the world if you are up for it. There we go. So you may have heard it's also known as crowd science or citizen science. Community science is a really inclusive term for anyone who wants to participate and collaborate in scientific research. It's not a new idea. It may be a new term, but it's actually an old idea. And one of the oldest formal citizen science projects actually started in the 1900s, the Christmas bird count, which we still do today. That was by the National Audubon Society. So it collects data and informs bird conservation efforts. Community scientists require no previous experience. Projects can be done from at home or in the field and can provide a wide variety of benefits. The value of citizen science data is dependent on the quality of data collected. So some projects require observations to be verified by an expert and some do not, depending on whatever the researcher needs. The educational benefits are really invaluable. Community science can be used in a formal educational setting or informally for people of all ages to make discoveries about the world and the environment, and taking part in a project can be like starting a new hobby, or it can supplement one of your existing hobbies or interests. Community science has the potential to bring society closer to science and nature, bringing about a sense of ownership and helping create the kind of society that works to protect its natural environment. Projects can be a really fun way to spend time with friends and family members. I think that's one of the biggest benefits of community science, honestly. And of course, community science can serve policymakers by raising awareness about environmental issues and providing evidence for decision-making, for example. So at the Refuge, we use a number of community science apps. These are also accessible online. So I'm going to talk about 4 of them in particular. And yeah, if you have any questions about these, just shout because they're my favorite. I really like to contribute to these community science projects. The first one is called Bumblebee Watch. It's a partner project from a variety of agencies across North America. You contribute photos, the location, the date, and the time, and then experts verify your bumblebee identification. So community scientists collect this data and it helps researchers determine the status and conservation needs of bumblebees, helps locate rare or endangered populations of bumblebees, and teaches us about bees, their ecology, and ongoing conservation efforts. So of course, I couldn't have a presentation without adding in some of the photos that I've contributed to Bumblebee Watch. So I have a couple of American bumblebees. Let's see. This one's on a creamy indigo, and there's one on a golden Alexander there. This one doesn't necessarily have any identification clues in it that make it obvious, but I just wanted to add it in. We have a 2-spotted bumblebee on prairie milkweed, a brown belted bumblebee on white indigo, and I just thought this one was so fascinating on the purple prairie clover, and you can see the pollen sacs are nice and full. So I love taking pictures of bumblebees, and this is a really great way to use those photos for good because I'm collecting data and sharing it. The next app that we use on the Refuge is Ebird. And so this is a project of the Cornell Lab of Ornithology. You contribute a list of birds that you see and you hear while you're out and about, whether that's birding or hiking, and experts review your records. And this really contributes to hundreds of conservation decisions and peer-reviewed papers, thousands of student projects, and helps inform bird research worldwide. It's quite a significant amount of data. And so the community scientists are really helping the scientific community with Ebird. So the app suggests a list of birds. So I took these screen captures just from my phone, so directly from the app. They suggest a list of birds you might see based on your location. So you can see, I just told it to find my location. So that was it. And then it tells me if a bird might be rare there or if it's common. Another thing that you can do is you can easily record the number of species you saw, how long you were out birding, and how far you walked. And then these records are all kept so that you yourself can go back and look at the birds that you've seen at different locations that you're at, and just keep a record for yourself too. It lets you see where others are birding. So this is the general Des Moines area. It tells you what birds others are seeing and if there's any birding hotspots in your area. And then another thing that I thought was really interesting is you can go to specific locations to see what birds have been recorded and when specific species are typically seen at that location. So Ebird is just an incredible amount of information that you can go to if that's something that you're interested in. The next app that we use is called Nature's Notebook, and this is through the USA National Phenology Network. You contribute data throughout the year, so things like information on the leaves, buds, flowers, fruits. If it's an animal, it can be if they're reproducing, if they're alive, if they're dead, what they're doing in their life cycle. And then experts use that data to make decisions. So whether that's managers or scientists or researchers, it helps them make decisions on what management techniques and when to use them. And the really cool thing about Nature's Notebook is you get to choose what you're monitoring. So it can be anything from the plants in your front yard or the birds that you see when you go on a walk, or it can really be anything. They also have specific campaigns that I think are pretty fun that you can contribute to, such as one's called Nectar Connectors, Mayfly Watch, and Pesky Plant Trackers. So you can go onto the Nature's Notebook website here, and based on our location in Iowa, it'll tell you what campaigns would be good for you to join. And just a little plug here, this is a volunteer opportunity at the Refuge. So we have a volunteer that comes every other week, if not every week, to monitor different things at the Refuge. So we have chosen to monitor mostly plants and animals with a connection to the prairie or the oak savanna, of course. So we look for adult monarchs and caterpillars and eggs, and then we monitor the butterfly milkweed, which is their host plant, of course, and then the prairie violet here. And then in the oak savanna, we monitor the leather flower, and then bloodroot. Oh, there's our rough blazing star in connection to the monarch and other butterflies too as a nectar source. And then the red-headed woodpeckers in the oak savanna too. So lots to look at and lots to monitor at the Refuge. And finally, the last app that I'm going to talk about is called iNaturalist, and it's a joint initiative between the California Academy of Sciences and National Geographic. We have been using this app almost daily this season. We contribute photos, we say where we took that photo, and we say when we took it, and then experts can verify your organism identification. So even if you don't know what you're looking at, it's really nice to be able to, someone puts a name on that organism, and then you're able to know. And the data collected by community scientists contributes to something called biodiversity science, which it's really important to know when and where all different types of species occur so that different connections can be made and management can be done. Specifically for us, though, it really helps Refuge staff because it can update our species list at the Refuge. So knowing who lives at Neal Smith really helps us make decisions. iNaturalist is so easy to use. We're especially looking, if you're interested in helping us out at the Refuge using iNaturalist, we're especially looking for insects like spiders, and if you see any fungus. So we have species list for those things, but they're kind of short. So we'd like to know if there's anything else out there, and having more community scientists out on the Refuge will only help our list be more thorough. I just wanted to put some pictures up of things that I have put on iNaturalist myself. before I submitted this praying mantis photo, that was not on our species list. So that's pretty fun. And fungi and other insects that I didn't know what they were called. So iNaturalist told me, and now I know. So I learned quite a bit from that app. I just wanted to conclude by contributing a couple more places. These were just some websites that I went to that if you're interested in finding different community science projects, there's a variety of places to go. And really you can find your own, find projects based on what you are interested in and find projects based on location. So these are really cool places to go and just look around and see if there's anything you'd like to contribute to. And that is all I have.